Hello there, and welcome to another My Little Podcast. We are your hosts. I am Bree. I'm here with my brother Bryson.
Hello.
My father Gary.
Hello.
And my mother Shelly. Hi. Today we're going to be chit-chatting about the most recent weekly peak.
Yes.
Awesome comments that we have to go through and suggestions, all kinds of fun stuff.
A
But
lot.
before
It's
we
fun.
get into it, we received another fabulous package in the mail yesterday. 3 really beautiful plush dog beds. It was so cool to open up.
Made
The
me
dogs
want
were
to
excited.
scroll up and curl up.
That
in
was
one of
so
them.
much
They were
fun.
So cool.
And they look so cuffy.
Well, yeah,
comfy.
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 Or cuffy.
Cuffy.
Depends on how you
They look
get
so
in, I
cuffy.
guess. Yes.
They-
No, I was thinking the difference of like a dog and a comfy, and so it came out cuffy.
Cuffy.
Okay.
A puppy cuffy.
Sure. And I have some footage of Chip there. Actually, all of them have been cozying up in there
Right away.
Right away.
Right
They
away.
got right in
They
there.
loved
Huge
it.
fans. They knew it was for them, for sure.
Luna actually, we had put them throughout on the kitchen there and Luna had gone from one to the other. She had to check them all out.
She had to-
and she stayed at each one for a significant time, and it just cuddled right
She'll
in
pick
there.
her
Very,
favorite.
very soft.
And then she feels like she has to be on the move, and then she just goes to another bed. That's great.
Yeah, it is.
But all
Thank
the
you.
dogs have been enjoying it.
Yes.
And this is the little note that came in with them. Just discovered you on YouTube. I want to dedicate these beds in Gisbert's name. Sheltering in place has been lonely for me and my pup Sammy, and your whole family has brightened our days. From Renee. So
Thank you,
so much,
Renee.
Renee.
Those
Thank
are
you.
awesome.
Thank you.
They're really, really
Yeah,
good.
really
and they
nice.
fit the kitchen so well. The
Yeah.
color too. We were seeing too.
Well, yeah, because
It fits so
they
well.
could have gone out to the bedrooms, but then the thing is that the dogs aren't allowed up on the furniture there in the kitchen because they have hair, and you don't want to be eating your breakfast or drinking your coffee and have hairs in there. So they're not allowed up on the couches. So we were already putting dog beds in there, but they're nowhere near the quality and the niceness, and they fit the color, like you said. So
They fit
They're,
the
they're,
color.
they're
Yeah.
big.
Thank
They're
you.
kind of bigger ones too. They're really nice.
We don't want to sit around and go, hey, there's a hair in my soup. That's snake in my boot.
That's okay.
And we
That's
got
extra protein. It'll be fine.
I guess it would be.
So in this Friday's video, we had I always have to mull. We had Garen and Ellie
They
built that little cool little cupboard thing for the kitchen.
with the
really
looks
doors and the
amazing.
little handles.
Beautiful.
So
I
cute.
love
So
those
beautiful.
doors
I do
and the
too.
handles.
I think you should put a concrete countertop in there now.
Concrete counter.
Yeah, I wonder what he's going to do for
They
a
could put a
countertop.
bigger engine in there.
Someone
just to drive
actually,
around in.
someone suggested flipping the doors around, so if they swing open, they'll naturally want to swing shut when you drive forward. So they don't swing open while you're driving forward and stuff.
They have locks, but yes.
That's true.
That's a good
they
idea.
have locks. But someone
Yeah.
suggested that. I'm sorry. I read these comments and I don't always catch the names. I just see the comment.
We got a screenshot of
I know.
Crazy Cloud 2 said Azalea is going to be your new camera person and editor sooner than later.
Yeah.
Yes, it's like she has this. She's always reaching for the camera. That's why you always see her hand out because she's trying to grab the camera. She's watching what mom and dad do. She's wanting to mimic it. It's cute.
And she's a little jokester, always trying to get you to laugh. Like she doesn't like if you're trying to get her to laugh, she's really not interested.
Yeah.
But if she thinks she's
that's
making
not funny.
you
Watch
laugh,
Yeah. She says that's
finds
not
it so
funny.
funny.
Hold my bottle.
yeah, hold my bottle.
I know.
She thinks she made you laugh. She laughs.
Yeah, she thinks it's hilarious. Yeah, so definitely a great sense of humor. Lorraine Morgan said, "You need to treat your shelves with vegetable oil so they don't split while you're traveling in the van. They need at least 1 coat, maybe 2, vegetable oil because it's non-toxic and it won't contaminate any food stuff or dishes."
Yeah. Well, we can
Wow,
also
that's good.
Interesting suggestion.
Good.
little
That
bit
is an
of
interesting-
little bit of lettuce and tomato, and we can make a salad. Out of it. That's good. That's just a joke. I didn't mean to do that.
No, we
what
thought you were
said.
serious.
Yeah, I
No,
know.
you
I
kidding me?
I'm not being mean. Sorry.
Okay. So I think definitely the biggest thing in the comments this week was on Bryson's solar build with the tubing and stuff. A lot of great
There were
suggestions.
so
and-
many different ideas.
Yeah. Do we want to start with a really fun one and then get into the more nitty gritty? Or TARDIS Mole, he said, "It's getting dark and he's still up on the roof." That's dedication, young sir.
I worked to the point where I could not actually see anymore. I had to stop.
Oh wait, I have a comment that goes right.
Oh, okay. Is it that one?
10:45. Bryce Beverly. No, not Beverly. Bryce Brierly. Bryce Brierly says, they say in a whispered voices, is he still on this roof to this very day?
That's exactly what I was going to say next. I didn't
Bryce.
Screenshot it, but I was like, oh,
And
man.
Bryce has been with us like
Yeah, we see him all the time.
Awesome.
He's got the little, with his little face and the dog's
Little dog
nose right there. So cute.
Thanks, Bryce.
That's great. That's great. Okay, so Bryson, now you screenshotted a few comments. I think we might even have doubled up a little bit.
Okay.
Did you have one that you wanted to launch into?
Let's see. What would be a good one to start with? There was a lot of them. Okay, so there was a lot of comments about insulating the tubing, and I mean it's been a hot topic for a while. I know me and Mom have been discussing it. We don't exactly know how we would cover or what we would cover the tubing with.
Now, wait a second. Are you talking about the black tubing or the tubes where the grow beds are?
Yeah. So there is actually
So which one are you talking about, though?
there
Just
are
so we
actually
know.
two. So there's the grow beds, like what Mom's saying, and then there's the tubing for the
black
coil,
tubing, yeah.
the coil that's up there. And honestly, both of them should probably be insulated. So we had like some suggestions using pool noodles, quite a few suggestions on those. We've tried those in the past on some of the stuff above to keep the metal from scraping like our cover that we do over the top of the aquaponics.
We use it in our pipes too for freezing.
And they the sun breaks them down, and so they eventually start like flaking off, and they eventually just
but what are they? 99 cents a
break
piece.
down.
I mean, they're so cheap.
Yeah, they are rather cheap. So that actually may
we could
not
do it every
be
year.
that may not be a bad idea. Sorry, Brie.
You're fine. I'm trying to catch you.
But that one, so that's probably might work for like the smaller tubing. But the big pipes, we're not really sure what would
That's
cover
the
that.
complicated
That's
one.
the complicated one. We're not really like, I can find like rolls of insulation, and I guess I would just wrap it around manually and
Cut out the
and
holes.
cover it. Yeah, something like that. Or if there's already a pre-built like circle that can just wrap around it already, that would be
Like
cool.
the noodles. If they made like
Yeah.
a big noodle.
Yeah.
Well, you know
get
what
a
they
big
do make?
noodle. You know.
They do make
noodles.
when you're building houses and you have a concrete structure that you're attaching wood to. For instance, the floor going onto the foundos. They
Yeah.
make a 8-inch blue plastic insulator that insulates between the concrete and the wood. You could buy
Interesting.
rolls of that, which is pretty cheap in the construction. You get that at Home Depot or wherever. And then just wrap them. I like this idea of just wrapping them and then cut the holes out on top.
And then just keep it.
I'm sorry, but I have got an idea, and it's really crazy. It probably won't work. But like when you go down, you reminded me when you go to the hardware store, and they have their cardboard tubes that you are for columns that you pour with concrete in them.
sonotubes.
Yeah. You put those around, and then you spray foam. And then you cut it off, and you move another, and you spray. No, that wouldn't work. It would look so ugly.
I mean, it's
But-
not a bad
It keeps
idea.
it warm.
But what about foam concrete?
Foamcrete?
Foamcrete. What about foamcrete? It's very
That we could
light,
fill in and then take
and
those
it's
off?
insulated, very
It
insulated.
still has some weight to it.
Oh, it does, but not as
Weight's
much.
okay.
No, weight's
Wait, no, it's not. He goes, no.
I don't know. Structurally, I'm not in favor of concrete, foam
Yet.
or otherwise.
Yeah.
Yes.
Put some rebar in there too.
yet.
Bryson's like, I
No,
will make
okay.
you a believer.
Okay. Well, yeah, you're probably right.
They're held up by
You're
little.
probably right.
Yeah,
We do
wire.
have some future plans that we thought of today, and we've
Wait,
been
are we moving
mulling
on
over.
from
No,
the-
this has to
the
do with the
tubes?
aquaponics
No,
and
are
the
we
tubes.
moving on from the tubes?
Oh,
'Cause
the
I have a
insulated
question
tubes.
here.
Oh, no,
I have
hang
a
on.
question
Okay.
from Jessie G, who says, "Does the hot water cook the plant roots?" She asks. Jesse.
Not really. The hot water, the moment it enters the tube, gets dispersed pretty quick in the tank, and so it or down the tubing. In fact, it only raises that water that's in that tube only about 5 degrees, even though it's like a 20-degree difference. By the time it hits everything else, it only raises it just a little bit because it
But it's enough
intermixes
to keep
with
it from freezing. That's the
but
big
it's enough
point.
to keep it from freezing. And the other thing is too, yeah. So it
Well,
it's not really.
It's just to keep the plants alive and keep the fish from doing this.
Up at the top.
Now there were some suggestions. Now talking about which I didn't think about a little later, but what if, for example, the heater works so well that it gets too hot for the fish?
Turn it off.
And so,
We just toss some ice cubes in there
let's
and
see,
be
was
fine,
it
right?
this comment?
Turn it off.
Just turn it off. That also.
Yeah, you won't be running this in the summer, right, Bryson? You would never run that in the summer.
No, in fact,
Plenty of heat where we live.
you even had some suggestions on potentially water staying in there and freezing. The kind of tubing I used is for irrigation for like vineyards, what they use for drip irrigation for vineyards. And we happen to there's actually a place down here that's close to us that's a vineyard, and it uses the same tubing. He uses the same tubing, and he obviously doesn't have a problem during winter with it. So I think I'll be okay. I don't think it's going to freeze up on us and break or anything like that.
Well, the difference, though, with his is yours is going to have water in it, right? And his doesn't? Or will yours be emptied out?
You know, that's true. I don't really know if it empties out or not. I've had a theory on that it might, because you have two different water levels. I'm taking out of the lower tank and I'm putting it back in the tubing that's up above.
Right, it would empty.
So in theory, it would create a siphon that would actually pull all the water out and empty it into the lower tank. But I don't really know if that actually does that or not with the pump in the system. The pump might stop that from happening because it might,
we could check that easy enough.
But speaking about
Yeah.
that, we had some suggestions by, oh my gosh, I keep losing it. Let's see if I can say his name right. It's like Lauren MTN Ranch. Did I read that right?
Yeah, they were on Mountain Ranch.
Lauren Mountain Ranch. And he actually had a lot of suggestions. One of them was the ground. Our ground that we have around here on average stays a temperature of like 55 degrees at all times usually, which is actually plenty warm enough for tilapia to live in. They'll actually live perfectly fine in that degree of that temperature. So he suggested burying the pipes in the ground and grabbing that water from the ground to warm it up, which I thought was actually a really good idea. I mean, at this point, we already have a giant heater that's already built, but if it doesn't work, maybe going that route might be a really good idea. I believe he also suggested putting a one-way valve in the pipe because of the pump. He doesn't want if those particular kinds of pumps, if you run them dry for long enough, they can apparently burn up. And so putting a one-way or check valve in there can keep them going. But yeah.
So here was
Anyway.
something that Cheryl.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Cheryl.
Thank you for
Helpful.
that. Very helpful.
So
he
many
actually had
wonderful helpful
It's a
things.
very big comment. He mentions way more than that, but yeah, it was really nice seeing it.
Now Cheryl Fraunhofer says, Bryson, I think you're a genius and can do and build anything. One concern: won't the goats chew on that water tubing that is threaded inside their fence?
You know, something you don't think about much is goats eat everything. If it is edible, chewable of any kind, it will go down them in some way or another. They love to eat things. But I think for the most part, all the pipes are out of reach, so hopefully they won't.
It might
Now-
look like it is. But
Yeah,
They won't get it, but we'll see.
Well, you know, the big goat, his name is Boots, and he's the weather, and he is the largest goat. And when he stands on his hind feet, he is very tall. He'd be taller than Bryson easily.
Yeah.
And I think that if
He
he
is.
could actually walk around on his hind legs, he could do it. But he has nothing to grab on, so he won't be able to get to those.
Goats, I mean, if they were to do it, it'd be out of pure boredom because there's nothing. There's just to destroy something, and I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
and that would be them.
They definitely could do it. They're not going to go out of their way to unboard themselves. You know what I mean? Like they'd have to.
He'd
really
have
go
to
crazy.
balance on his back feet without holding his
Yeah.
front. And I don't think he'd do
There
it.
is
He's just
tubing
not
that's
that bored.
at
You
the
know what I'm
fence
a little
saying?
bit lower. That's at the fence level
don't
that
think
they
you will.
might be able to reach.
They won't even see it.
I just don't think they will.
I don't think so
just don't
either.
think they will.
And we'll come out tomorrow morning. It's all tore up.
Now on
I
that
can't imagine them
same
chewing on plastic. We put plastic out there all the time, and they don't chew on it.
Yeah, cardboard,
They'll do
Too
wood.
bad.
cardboard, paper.
Yeah.
Love cardboard and paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, they eat
No.
everything but food.
We'll keep you posted though if it happens. We'll let you know.
We'll video it if it
yeah,
happens.
if it happens,
because that would be awesome.
And
That'd be
then,
great
and
bit of
then
footage.
you'd be right.
You'd be 100% right.
Now, running on that same thought, Jason Guest says, great job, Bryson. Do you have any safeguards in place to stop losing too much water if the pipe splits or breaks? And yes/no. My theory on how to stop the water was just to put the tube at the top of the water level of the fish tank. So if it loses too much water, it can't draw up any more water. And
Makes sense.
It stops.
Oh, good one, Brian.
So that's what I
burn up the
kind of...
That's okay.
At least the fish have
I would
something
rather
to
keep the
breathe
fish
in.
than keep a $14 pump. I mean, you know. But anyway, and yeah, so that was my idea to try to prevent that. I still have yet to put a filter at that end. I got to do that too, but that was kind of my idea. But I don't know.
So I'd say that's a yes. There's no about that unless it just starts slowly encroaching down into the water.
So, thank you, Jason.
Okay, so
that was awesome.
Alexandra Shirley said, "What is Bryson wearing on his ears?"
Headphones. They're just headphones. They kind of keep the ears warm too, so they kind of do both.
They're also earmuffs.
They're also earmuffs.
A little bit of both.
Okay, some suggestions on. Let's see. Okay, so Flibby wire, Flibby.
I love how you fly by wire. You always show me like I know. I'm like,
I'm sorry. I names is not something I do, but fly by wire. He kind of goes through and he suggests he talks about maybe the temperature getting too warm for the fish, which I think we kind of talked about this a little bit, but and he talked about maybe putting some sensor in or some sort of temperature sensor that shuts the water off if it gets too hot or too cold to kind of make it a little bit more efficient. He had a theory, which I thought was a good one. Is the solar panel, too big for the pump or vice versa? And then if that's not quite right, during the really cold time, that water might be flowing, when there's power and there shouldn't be power, kind of like that. I don't know exactly. He had a really good way of saying it. Maybe I should just read it his way. Basically, though, it's just, that system not being quite right. And I guess really the answer to that is like, I don't really know. I do know that if there's sunlight, that hose is warm. I mean, even if it's freezing outside,
yeah, this
it's
is
warm.
not like other suns in other places. Like
our sun is totally different than yours.
This is
I'm just saying.
The sun you look at is not the same one we see.
You joke with me, but we were up in Oregon, and I was so excited the sun was shining. And I was like, I'd run to it. I'm like, oh, finally warmth, and it was just light. There was no warmth.
There was no warmth.
This sun lies to you.
There was no warmth.
Even in the winter, our sun has heat.
In the desert, there is a heat that is a little more.
We actually,
out here,
in all honesty, Sol is your sun. We're from the planet Gorgma, and Gorgma doesn't have sun that's like yours. So.
You joke. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
But I mean, he still had a good idea to just put sensors on there to turn it on when it gets warm, turn it off when it gets cold, things like that. Still a great idea, but yeah, it's just the thing is there's no water here. So there's no water to stop the light from just blazing through our atmosphere. So it's just so hot all the time whenever sun hits.
Do that? What do we need a weatherman for then? Hello, there's 315 days of sun a year. I'm going to be right most of the time.
Yeah, if they just said it's going to be sunny all the time, they would be right most of the time.
It was interesting. We've had some cloudy days here, and Bryson had gone out, and he's like, how can that solar panel is running, just with just a little bit of light that it was still running.
Yeah, because it was already cloudy.
And he's like, well, I don't want it to cool the tank down, but his conclusion... Correct me if I'm wrong. If it's 70 going in and 75 coming out, I guess it's working.
Yep, and it was always warmer. Every time that thing was on, it was always warmer.
But you wouldn't think it would be warming that up.
You wouldn't think it.
Because it was not very cloudy. So that was interesting, too.
Yeah, it was. And I think, too, it has to do, too, because remember, the tubing is black. So any light that hits it, immediate heat, because that blackness absorbs that light, which causes it to warm up. So I think that's part of it is even when it's cloudy, it's still warmer.
Yeah, and I think too that also goes to the idea that even though it's a lone black tube all the way back to the tank, it's still black. And if you lay a hose out on the ground, it doesn't matter that it's by it. I mean, it's still going to be retaining that heat because it is black all the way down. For
whatever reason,
black absorbs a little bit of. There are some instances where light doesn't necessarily transfer to heat.
That's
I mean,
true.
you can walk out at night in the stars and you hold your hands up and go, I'm not feeling
In fact, they did a study.
There's a lot of
light.
burning
What the
gas, but I'm not feeling
Hey,
it.
I'm getting a tan. I'm getting a tan out here. It's midnight. I love it. So yeah, you would be. But I think in this case, in this case, in our weather, in our area, we're definitely going to get a transfer of that winter solace. That winter sun hits that black pipe. It will warm out.
So
I have a question.
Yes.
What happens when we have the full moons and it's so bright outside and you don't need a flashlight or anything, it's so bright with the full moon out here? Will that actually turn the solar panel on, or is it only solar like sun?
I have no idea. The thing is, it's
We're gonna have to try
it
it.
is-
Dun, dun, dun.
It is
The blue
light
moon. We should have checked
with
the
a-
blue moon night.
Did
With
he
a
have
solar
it up?
panel,
I don't think he
it's,
had it up yet.
No, he didn't. That's true.
I do know that solar panel is light as light. I don't know what. I think there's a certain wavelength that matters with it, but as long as it fits in that wavelength, it will convert it to
Well, you know what's
electricity.
cool about moonlight is it's sunlight.
Is it solar? Oh, yeah, it's reflected off
It's
of.
true.
It
He is
is true.
absolutely right.
Oh, good
But-
one.
but-
Garrett.
But,
It's
Dad,
just the sun's
here's the
discarded
crazy thing.
sunlight, though.
Here's the crazy thing that I just dawned on me.
Does the wait?
I know
hang
why.
On, hold up. Does the moon get hot?
Potentially not.
Well,
like what Dad was
atmosphere,
going
There's
to.
some things that help. Thank you for going here.
They had to stop.
There has to
Wait
be
a second.
an atmosphere
Well,
for that to pass. I don't
no.
know.
Well,
Let's go.
the absorption.
I
No,
feel
it
that.
goes to the.
We're on from planet Gorgma. We can go anywhere.
Wait a
we
minute.
Go
want.
anywhere
Wait
we
a minute.
want.
Doesn't it depend on the material? Because, like you were saying before,
Oh,
some
absorption.
materials absorb heat and some just straight up reflect
All right.
it. Like a mirror's not going
We
to
need
warm
some
up
moon
like
dust.
something
We gotta
black
figure
will,
this out.
Okay,
because there's more reflecting back.
Yes,
I'm going to let
Right?
you in on a little secret.
Oh no.
We actually have something for way out in the future. But we actually have an animation that we have started writing, and it's for the way out in the future. But
Oh, yeah.
it's
Yeah.
called My Little Space Dad.
Yeah.
And
It
it's our
is.
family
Is.
animated who are going out and homesteading on different planets.
And we bring all our animals and
Yep.
oh gosh, it's
Yep.
It's
And-
gonna be fun.
I
I mean, we're talking when we say this, we mean out in the future. So
like a long ways out.
So
Because
we'll
we
see
got-
in 10 years.
Don't look for it real quick in your stores or on YouTube, but
gonna
someday
be a
we'll
lot
get
of
that
fun.
out.
Yep.
But yeah, that's
I'm looking forward to drawing.
another fun one.
I'm looking
Sorry.
forward to
Okay, so
animating.
That
okay,
reminded me of that when you
should
guys-
we maybe
Okay.
we should wrap up the
I'm trying to find.
wrap
I
it
cannot
up maybe.
find it.
You look
There's
for
a-
that and wrap us up.
Okay,
Here, Bree.
so Elizabeth,
Keep looking, Bri.
Okay, last week now. Was it last week? Last week now. Nope, 2 weeks ago now. On our Wednesday was the pumpkin one, and then
Yes.
and then in this Friday we saw the goats and the pig and everybody eating the pumpkins.
Yes.
So Elizabeth Nezha says, "Does your goat's milk have a pumpkin taste now?" No, I don't.
Probably.
No.
Really?
No.
I was gonna say. I don't know.
I have to say, what was kind of fun about that scene is that when the pumpkin hit the ground, normally you have to put in a sound effect
Yeah.
to kind of enhance that.
Yeah,
But that sound effect was the real sound, and it was
Of a
very
pumpkin.
dramatic, wasn't it?
so dramatic.
You even turned it up, I think.
I did. I boosted it right there so I could get a little. It had that.
Yeah,
But it was dramatic, though.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was. It sounded heavy, like, and
Yeah.
messy. It was great. They loved the pumpkins.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness. I was watching animal compilations. I think they're the most funniest thing ever. I crack up. But there was like several elephants, and they had huge pumpkins that they had put out, and for the elephants to eat.
Oh.
And then what they do is they'd press on the pumpkin and to break it up, and it would the coolest sounds. And then with their little snoots, they'd grab like elephant bite-sized bits and then put it into their mouth, and then they'd step on it. I'll find that video. I'll put it in the description so that you can see it too. It's so interesting to watch those
Wow.
elephants eat those pumpkins.
That's cute.
Let's go. Okay, I found it.
Okay,
Found the
good.
comment.
Okay.
Okay, so it's by Pippi Long. Sorry if I butchered your name,
No,
right?
that's
No,
right.
that's a
Butchered
good
it
one.
right.
We know her.
Butchered it wrong. I
mean,
butchered it
know
right.
From
Anyway,
Oh, yay.
she said, I had a friend that used coils rolled up inside a compost pile. And then apparently he ran them inside to warm his house or whatever. And so what's interesting about this, I did not know this. But when compost starts to break down, it apparently generates heat.
A lot of heat.
And you can actually collect that heat with pipes and warm things with it. So we have animals, and compost is, well, kind of an easy thing to get a hold of when you have animals. So this would not also be a bad idea.
Another idea would be
cool.
is to
Very
save,
good idea.
But that was a really
the
cool
methane
thing.
gas, and you can heat water.
Wait, I have immediately
That is
what
a whole
pops
nother
in my
ballgame.
mind. Immediately this pops into my mind. Okay, so you do all this work, you coil all this up. How long does it produce manure, and how often do you have to refresh the manure?
You have to keep refreshing.
You would have to keep refreshing it.
Well, you don't want a pipe break.
Okay, so you want to probably go get animals that have the longest breakdown process.
Is that why they call it hot manure?
Yeah. Ooh.
It's hot until it breaks down, but
Hot
it's
until it
not
breaks
just.
down because
I
it
mean,
heats
compost
up?
piles exist of old
that what that term
eggshells
comes
and
That's true.
all your
Coffee.
it's a coffee grounds. There's a paper. They can have. It's not
true.
just manure.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's true.
And then
Organics.
which stuff produces the most heat? It's quite an interesting line of
That's a good
question.
Wow, maybe they have grades like grade A manure,
You know,
double
I would
A.
think, okay, so my
triple
theory
A.
would be the best manure would be maybe horse manure. That stuff's really hot.
That's
It
all
takes,
hay.
Years.
well,
to break
cow
down.
would be
Cow
a
would
good one
also
too.
work.
They have
and
grass.
how much heat are we talking here? Because
Elephant.
that's a good question.
Spontaneous combustion.
Yeah, there you go.
Like
2 gallon
now
boxes.
there is
This
a
is just this morning.
oh my gosh, have you seen those? What are they called? I want to say seltzer. They're
That's it. We're getting an
they're
elephant.
plates.
We're getting an elephant. What's
Yes,
happening?
I was describing a plate. There's 2 things that go on the plate, and once I can get warm, once I can get cold, and it'll generate electricity. So I have a brilliant idea.
Oh, no.
You put a bunch of those down facing the ground, and then you put a compost pile on top, and then the compost creates the heat to generate the electricity, and then the cold is from the ground, and then you generate the electricity that you then put into your house to run your house, and you run your house off of compost.
Poop.
Hey, what's that spilling disc out there? It kind of reeks.
Yeah. Dude, you need to take care of you're living in a small area. Neighbors right next door. You got a pile of poop 6 feet high.
And neighbors, they're
Neighbors are
eyeballing
hey.
it.
You need to get rid of that. That smells bad.
It's turning. Did it turn? I don't remember if it turned or not. But it's turning.
She's like, I can't. It runs my house.
Oh, that's great. It's a good idea, though.
Gosh,
We
that's
tease,
funny.
but it's a good idea.
Yeah, another thing is this week we did a little bit different stuff in the video we're playing around with, and that is we have been able to get some microphones that are actually picking up our voices better than ever before. It would still be nice to improve. It's always nice to improve, but we do
Always
have,
can.
but these ones are picking up our voices better. And so what we decided to do on this video this week was to actually have the voices carry and try to drop music completely out during segments. So this was the first, I think probably the first video on, meaning last Friday's, that we've done where we cut out so much music. There was a lot of music missing in this because the mics could carry those voices, and especially too, with Ellie and Garen, we could really hear their voices good too. And
Well, technically what happens if the voices are too low and I have to boost them high, we grab all the background noise and hiss and all the other white noise that's involved in that. That also boosts with it. So you get this combination of more voice, but you get everything else with it. So it takes a lot more work to pull all that extra noise, background noise out. Plus, it's just not as accurate as people might think. Oh, you just cut that stuff out. Well, no. All of our voices also have the same noises, so you end up... you get all these funny little things going on. So we've been using music to kind of mask a little bit of the lower
And
noise.
it does.
The white noise
it's
cancels
good
out.
at canceling out
Yeah.
white noise or buzzing. It's
Yeah.
really good at
It works for
masking
that.
those things.
But then again, you always have music on, so it's like you don't want that. You want this
Yeah.
nice thing you got
Variety.
going on. Better mics, less noise, and you can't just boost the gain. That's another thing that happens. Well, why don't you just turn the microphone up? Well, it doesn't work like that on some of the instruments that we're using to collect sound and
There's not
video.
even a gain option in some cases.
Yeah.
yeah, so that was kind of fun to do. I think it worked well, but really you're the determiner of that.
Yeah.
But so
I thought it was really fun. I certainly when I go to pick music now, I'm gonna have a lot more choices, because a lot of times I don't pick songs that are a minute and a half long because it's not gonna get me through the segment, and it's a little bit much to have a couple or 2 or 3 songs for one segment. I'd like to have a theme going on for each one, you know, and so I also can pick more peppy songs, because you can't run a peppy song underneath an entire segment. It will stress you out by the time it's done, unless it's the beginning or the end where you're getting excited about whatever. You just can't put that in the middle of something. But you can do that if you're going to be working with the transition and then it fades out. That's workable. So I'm looking forward to with your new thought to be putting music in differently next time. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I just had one more. One more thing I wanted to say on that too. There was a comment too that mentioned about the segments and wishing the segments were a little longer. And if you can believe it, when Gary and I sit down in the evening and we watch sitcoms or whatever shows, you'll see me with my phone timing their segments, because I'm and I mean, we just when we time our segments, we just, what is this? Does this feel like about the right before we move? Mm-hmm. And we've just done it with feeling, but we actually also time as we sit there and watch through. And really, segments don't go more than about 2-3 minutes. 3 minutes would be really long for a segment. And so anyway, I just I think we'll probably, we can always improve on different things, but we'll probably keep the segments about right where they are right now. But appreciate your comment too on that. Any comments that are constructive are always fun to think about.
Consider,
and consider it.
Consider. We're
but if you're wondering why the segments are, and I suppose too, if somebody's looking for maybe to solve a problem that they're having and they want to see how we're doing it, it could be frustrating. I can see if we move away, but we're really looking for, just also a show that's enjoyable to watch. And if you're, it's not really centered to the person who's doing a particular how-to. That's not really where our target is. Our target is to also just kind of entertain and have fun.
We first started out, it was very how-to, but we're moving towards a little bit more variety.
We find when we were doing the how-to, it was just no fun to do. We just don't.
Yeah, we wouldn't be doing it. If we were still doing how-tos, we would have quit long ago.
We were done.
It's no fun for us.
It's fun for some people, and that's great. And I know that there's a big audience for how-to stuff, but it just doesn't interest us. So in order to stay interested in what we're doing, we have to make it fun for ourselves, really.
Yeah.
And so that's a thing. But thank you so much for your comment, though. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
And we're always open, always looking to improve our work. And that's the fun. The fun, it's not the destination, it's the journey that's exciting.
Yeah. And I want to say, too, don't ever be afraid to put a constructive comment in there. We certainly welcome those, too. We so appreciate all the compliments and encouragement and those kinds of things that you mostly do. But it doesn't hurt our feelings at all to put something constructive in there.
We like learning.
Yeah, we want to always be learning. Our show, our goal is to every week make it better every week, do something new and keep moving, because if we're not moving forward and we're not bettering the show, then it's going to get old for us.
It's
and
no fun.
We
want to continue to improve.
I learned a lot from the comments this week.
Yeah, for Project
Wealth.
Oh, yeah, that's one of the best places to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Your observations and your input. Super.
Several times this week, I actually went to the internet just to learn stuff. I mean, so we'll go to YouTube to learn stuff too, so it isn't like we all have this, been embodied with this huge knowledge, our heads.
If you've been with us more than 2 weeks, you know that already.
Wait, have we ever made a mistake? Maybe.
I don't think so.
Okay.
It's kind of like, I'm going to watch My Little Homestead to find out what not to do.
That worked.
Yeah. I mean, a building never came down. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I have some rules. There are some safety rules that we will follow at all times.
I was thinking about the walls in the cabin build.
Oh.
We built in, and we just built them in too fast.
Oh, that was an experiment, and nobody was there.
We
just
when they fell, nobody was. We just came back, and they were.
We knew it wasn't a good situation, so
let's move on. We don't want to talk about that film.
Hey, we learned a lot through that, and now there's an actual building up there.
Epic.
So it worked out.
Fail.
There's a gorgeous building up there now. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah,
thanks to Garen and Ellie.
Thanks to Garen and Ellie. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, we really appreciate you hanging out with us, being a part of our family, being a part of the conversation, a part of the projects, editing process, everything. We really appreciate it. And we are going to see you on Wednesday. This time, we really do mean it. On Wednesday for another midweek peek.
Oh, yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.